So it can be helpful to know some vocabulary related to circles. And here's just a list of vocabulary words you're going to hear a lot. So here's two circles. Let's talk about examples of chords. Well, a chord is a segment whose endpoints lie on the circle. So chords just go from one part of the circle to another. Some non-examples would be line segments that cut all the way through the circle. Those are not chords. Or ones that go maybe from the middle to the circle itself. So those are non-examples. What about a central angle? A central angle has its vertex at the center of the circle. And a central angle is less than 180 degrees. So here is an inscribed angle. That's not central. You could also have an angle with its vertex outside of the circle. That would be a non-example. Earlier, I mentioned inscribed angles, and the vertex of an inscribed angle is on the circle. So here's an inscribed angle for you. Here's a non-example. This one, the vertex is outside of the circle. You could also have an angle like this, where the vertex is inside the circle. And that one's also not an example because an inscribed angle has its vertex on the circle. So the location of that vertex is really key in distinguishing central angles from inscribed angles. For central angles, the vertex is at the center, and for an inscribed angle, it's on the circle. So now let's talk about arcs. Arcs are just a section of the circle, and the points of a minor arc are going to be on the interior of a central angle. So here I've got a central angle, and it's subtended by a minor arc. We would call that arc AB. So this arc would not be considered a minor arc. This is what we call a major arc. And to give this arc a name, I'm going to need 3 points. I'm going to call it arc BAC because it goes from B through A all the way to C. I can't call it BC because BC would be referring to this smaller section right here. So our first arc here was a minor arc, but then arc BAC is a major arc. Our next vocabulary word actually is major arcs, so let me show you another example. Here's another example of a major arc. This arc follows the route from A through C over to B, and did you notice that it has an angle of more than 180 degrees there? It represents more than 180 degrees of that circle. So BC, as we mentioned before, is not a major arc, it's a minor arc. There's just a couple more words here. First, there's semicircle, and we think of a semicircle as half of a circle, since semi means half. And that's just about right. I'm going to draw a diameter here through the center of my circle. And semicircle actually refers to the arc that has 180 degrees. It's that part of the circle. And here's a non-example. This one is not a semicircle. And this little arc is also not a semicircle. A semicircle is going to have 180 degrees and be half of the circle. So adjacent arcs are arcs of the same circle that intersect at exactly one point. So this arc, my blue one and my red one, intersect at a common point. Those are adjacent arcs. That means they're side by side. Let me show you some non-examples. So over here, my green arc actually overlaps with my yellow arc. And since they overlap, they intersect at more than one point. So those are not adjacent. Another non-example would be arcs that don't intersect at all, like these two. These never touch, and so they are not adjacent. And those are the key vocabulary terms that you're going to need to work with circles.